Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Queen Anne's County Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, March 12, 2026. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any public comments that wish to be made before we get started? Mr. Kirsch, you're welcome to do it now or at the appropriate time if there's a specific project. It's your choice. Specific project. Fair enough. Anyone else? All right. Which brings us to the election of officers. I would entertain nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make some nominations. I'd like to nominate Sharon Dobson for chairman, and I'd like to nominate Tom Lee as vice chairman, Kathy Deudis, did I say that right?
Close enough.
As secretary, and the inimitable, never to be copied John Shelton as our clerk.
Second.
Second on that? Yes.
Second.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, is Sharon Dobson going to serve again?
I have not heard anything from Ms.
She
Johnson.
is.
Okay.
She is. I've spoken to her.
Yeah.
All right. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. All right. John, welcome back. Updates, legislation and legal matters, miscellaneous staff items.
Good morning, Stephanie Jones, Long Range Principal Planner. I have a few legislative updates for you. In regards to local legislation, the Gunston Text Amendment, which is to allow the expansion of nonprofit institutional uses specific to youth camps and secondary education, was approved by the Critical Area Commission the beginning of March. So that will be coming back to the county commissioners for their public hearing and their legislative process. So that's still moving through the process. It just takes a little longer with the Critical Area Commission portion. As well, we received 9 citizen-sponsored text amendments. So be ready for a very full agenda next month. 3 of them are 3 of the 9 are to the non-contiguous development portion of the code. So currently we're working with those applicants to hopefully merge those 3 into 1. So hopefully that will reduce the number a little bit for you all and make it a little more clear moving forward instead of having 3 staff reports for essentially the same intent. So as far as state legislation, it's kind of in a hold pattern right now. Things that might impact Queen Anne's County, there's legislation in regards to housing as well as to solar. So right now they are at a standstill, but they're working on omnibuses for those items. So maybe more of an update next month on those. And I think that's all the legislative updates I have for you.
Questions for Stephanie? All right.
Thanks, Doug.
All right. Miscellaneous staff items. Mary Ellen, are you up? Update on Town of Chestertown Comprehensive Plan.
Good morning, Vice Chairman Lee, and congratulations on serving again in Planning Commission. The Town of Chestertown is in the process of updating its comprehensive plan, and the county received their draft plan to review during the 60-day comment period back in November. And per the Maryland statute, it requires the adjoining jurisdictions to be notified of the changes to the update of any comprehensive plan. And the 60-day review period allows public agencies such as ourselves to review the plan and comment on them. The Staff Technical Advisory Committee completed its review for consistency between the towns and the county's comprehensive plan. And the staff review indicated that the draft Chestertown's comprehensive plan is consistent with the 2022 Plan QAC comprehensive plan with some minor changes, minor comments. And based on the review, the staff drafted a letter on your behalf to the town. And we distributed that to you all via email on January 7th and asked for your comments. We did get some comments, and I thank you all for reviewing that. And so we sent that letter off on January 7th within the comment period. and we had, with no additional concerns, the letter was finalized, and let me know if you have any questions.
That you're saying this letter has gone back, the
Le-
letter
letter-
we have in our
Yeah,
staff report?
that letter that was sent, I'm sorry, the letter that's in your packet was sent to the town. Yep, per the comment period, because the comment period ended on January 12th, so we needed to send that out. Since we didn't have a meeting, we just sent it via email.
On a small typo, but out the door.
Sorry.
I shouldn't have brought it up. But I would like to go to Kingston, Queen Anne's County. Not to be confused with Jamaica. It's all right.
Very good.
Fair enough. One letter off. We'll let you slide. Thank you for all your work on that. Appreciate that. Any questions for Mary Ellen or Steve? Or are you,
No.
I'm
you
up next.
no,
I have,
he's
I
up
have my
next.
own update.
Fair enough.
Yep.
All right, minor site plans and public service waivers.
Sure. So I'm Steve Johnson, Senior Planner with Planning and Zoning. It's a little different being down here in front of you guys instead of over on the side. But I'm just here to provide a few updates on some projects that you may or may not have heard of, specifically 2 site plans and 2 public service waivers. I'll start with the public service waivers. So all public service uses in the county, schools, government agencies, fire departments, are subject or are able to request waivers to provisions of Chapter 18, including the entire site plan review process. Doesn't mean they don't have to meet all the requirements. The goal is to meet everything they can. It's a collaborative effort between our office, the applicant, the Planning Commission chair, and the county administrator. So the first request we had was from the Parks Department. It was for a 711 square foot comfort station. It's associated parking in White Marsh Park north of Centerville. It's a bathroom for the playing fields there. They requested a waiver from the entire site plan review process so they can move directly to permitting. That has been approved, and if it isn't under construction, it should be soon. So hopefully you'll see that go up if you visit the park. Our second request was from Chesapeake College for a replacement 900 square foot CDL classroom building. The old building had to be replaced due to deteriorating materials that may have caused health issues. That project is currently under review with the county administrator, so we're hoping to hear from him soon about that one. With regard to site plans, JPN Self-Storage, which is adjacent to the Wawa in Graysonville off of Hissey Road, they're proposing a fenced-in outdoor storage area. There's no new floor area associated with that project. It's just all impervious. Typically, you would see that as it is a major and it's on 50. However, there are provisions in the code that allow for minor changes to be reviewed administratively, and we have taken that to Sharon. She's agreed that it can move forward administratively, and it should be signed by Amy here in the near future. So you may see a fenced-in area go up there. And lastly, Dunkin' Donuts at the corner of Cox Neck Road, Route 50, which was denied by this commission in August of last year, is back in as a new submittal, attempting to address your concerns with safety and traffic. It's gone to one stack meeting. I think I've seen a couple of you here at that meeting. It will be scheduled for another one, so we encourage everyone here and anyone listening to attend. I just want to remind the public that's listening, you can attend and observe, but you cannot participate at that meeting. The proper time to participate would be at Planning Commission. To make public comment, yep. So that's all I have, unless you
Do
guys.
you have a date for that stack, or
It hasn't been resubmitted
Okay.
at this time, but I suspect it'll be here.
are
in
those
the next-
publicly posted on the
They are.
website? Yeah.
They are.
And just one comment about the bathrooms. I know the county Parks and Rec has been, it's a goal of theirs to increase the public facilities and access to the park. So I'm glad that those efforts are moving forward. Any questions for Steve?
Is there a virtual attendance option for the stack meetings?
No,
Okay,
it's not.
so in person. When are they typically held?
What is
Is it a
we have a
regular-
schedule, there's a schedule
is it a
posted
regular day
online.
and time,
It's
or-
on a Wednesday.
It's usually a Wednesday morning.
Yeah, Wednesday morning at 9.
Is that held here?
Problem.
Yes, in this room in the back.
Okay.
Yep. That's it.
Anything else? Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our first project, major site plan SP 24-08-0132, Oxford Chase Development. Doug Summers leads that.
If I could, you know, He's got a lot of money invested in that property.
Good morning, Doug Summers, County Planner. As you noted, this is SP 2408-0132, in which Oxford Chase Development is proposing to construct a 10,528 square foot Dollar General retail store and associated parking. They're requesting major site plan approval. The subject parcel is located in the southern portion of the county, just north of US 50. It's about a 1/10 of a mile north of 213 and Grange Hall Road. Tax map 60, parcel 110, lot 2, takes direct frontage on Maryland 213 and Y Mills. It's a 3.5 acre parcel and is unimproved. It is zoned suburban commercial. The site meets all Chapter 18 landscape requirements. It's not located within the 100-year floodplain. There's about a half acre of non-tidal wetlands on the eastern end of the property. No disturbances proposed in that area. There are no other natural resources on the site, and due to the parcel has no woodland, so to meet forest conservation mitigation requirements, they're proposing a half acre afforestation area proposed to be planted and shown in the green hatched area on here. The site plan, the proposal proposes a one-story commercial use building. It's private septic reserve and private well. Has been deemed to be exempt from APFO by the administrator. All suburban commercial zoning district development standards have been met with the proposal. Parking has been met on site with 5 spaces over the required amount. Site access is through a single point of ingress-egress directly off Maryland 213. And DPW has reviewed and approved the stormwater management for the proposal. This is architectural rendering of the proposal. It meets all SC design guidelines. There is landscape screening proposed in the rear and the east end, which would be your top left and your bottom portion. There's also landscaping proposed around the sign base that's shown here. And that's all I have. I could answer any questions or turn it over to the applicant.
Any questions for staff? Kevin?
Good morning.
Morning.
Without repeating everything that Mr. Summers just said, because he stole all my talking points.
Do you
Just
mind
to-
introducing yourself first, Kevin?
Sure.
All right.
Kevin Sharon, DMS and Associates, along with Howard Crossan with Oxford Chase Development. As Mr. Summers said, we are proposing a little over 10,000 square foot Dollar General on a vacant commercial property. The property is 3.5 acres. We've worked extensively with State Highway to design the entrance. It'll be a new 36-foot wide, 2 lanes out, 1 lane in entrance. It'll be curbed at the entrance, and then on the opposite side of the road, there will be about a 200-foot section of dashed white line, so that it could be served as a bypass lane for people turning left into the site. Afforestation's provided, no impact to the wetlands. Stormwater management is through a bioretention area up near 213 and a submerged gravel wetland at the rear. As it's in the suburban commercial district, there's an extensive landscape plan that goes along with the site. Site lighting's also been provided in the packet, and we worked with staff to come up with architectural elevations that meet both the developer's intent and the county's. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions that you all have.
Questions for the applicant or?
The only question I was gonna have is about the ingress and egress off 213, but it sounds like you've talked to State Highway about that and you're comfortable. 'Cause
We have.
there's a good bunch of traffic that turns right now going north on 213.
Right. Yeah, we work with them extensively. They wanted us to test the shoulders, so we did cores, and those are traffic bearing, and then just worked with them on the alignment. It's very similar to the other businesses that are up and down that section of road. So yeah, we're comfortable with what's been agreed to.
Yeah, there is one between you and the off-ramp, isn't there?
Correct. Yeah, the auto repair place. Yep. And then Grange Hall Road also.
You're not proposing to widen the road base per se, you're just
It's-
realigning the striping?
It'll be widened a little bit just so that our curb line matches the curb line of the adjacent property, but it's only by a foot or two. So, yeah, no substantial widening, right?
It's sort of an ancillary question while I have you, Kevin. Why do we know why that front property line is not parallel with the road?
It's a good
Is that a
question.
right-of-way issue or
Yeah, I'm not sure.
an odd configuration of lot lines?
The farms came first.
Well, I understand that, but why?
I'm just saying.
You mean
no,
before
they-
the
they
road?
lay the highways, I can show you a place right around Queen Anne, the way they laid 309 going to Cordova, slicing through a man's farm, that he's got a sliver of land. It's about as wide as this room, several hundred yards long. And you look at it, you go, why would they ever do that? Well, they didn't care. They just.
So
laid-
those lot lines preceded the road
Yeah,
likely?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, it could be that, or another option would be that it was laid at the toe of the slope, because the road there is higher than the adjacent
Yes.
grade, so it could be that it follows the toe, one of the two, either way.
Just a curiosity.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions for the applicant or staff, Wally? All right, I will entertain motions. A motion.
Chairman, do you
Yes.
need public comment?
I'm sorry. Thank you, Lindsay. Any public comment on the application we just discussed or was just heard?
I waived my time.
Fair enough. That was the only one? Anything, nothing online? Everybody's comfortable?
May want to re-ask, but Mr. Kirsten was the only one.
He just waived his comment. Do I understand that correctly? No, thank you? Is what you said? Fantastic. All right, we'll close public comment. Thank you, Lindsay. Hearing no public comment, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, resolve that the Planning Commission regarding the request by Oxford Chase Development, Inc. for major site plan approval to construct a 10,528 square foot building for commercial retail use, and is more particularly described in Department of Planning and Zoning File SP 24-08-0132, hereby finds the site plan does meet all the requirements of Chapter 18, will not substantially increase traffic hazards or safety concerns due to traffic generated by the proposed use, the location or orientation of curb cuts, or the layout of internal circulation. It does contain a layout of buildings, parkings, roads, and utilities that does not substantially increase fire, health, or other public safety hazards, is adequately buffered and screened to minimize the potential adverse impacts to neighboring properties and public rights-of-way, will not substantially increase stormwater drainage or pollution, will not have an unreasonably adverse effect upon property values in the vicinity of the site, will not adversely affect the public welfare, and will provide for public safety through compliance with the state fire code and with any applicable county or municipal fire codes, is compatible with the general character of the surrounding neighborhood, and is consistent with the purpose, goals, and objectives of the 2022 Comprehensive Plan, and hereby grants major site plan approval subject to the following conditions. 1, prior to final signature, any remaining edits and/or documents required by the Department of Public Works, Planning and Zoning, or any other reviewing agency be reviewed and approved. 2, all required legal documents must be approved, signed, and recorded prior to obtaining the final site plan signatures. 3, all required bonds, sureties, review, and inspection fees must be submitted to the Department of Public Works and the Department of Planning and Zoning as appropriate. And finally, 4, the architecture and overall site design must reflect the documents provided.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Folks comfortable keeping going? We don't need a break quite yet?
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Is staff ready for the next?
That was easy.
We might need to take a 1-minute break to get the applicant for that application in here.
Gotcha.
I kicked them down the hall because they were.
healthy, robust discussion that's being had. Morning. Let me know when you're ready, Stephen. Just let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'll wait till they.
Who are all these people?
It's hiding out in the hallway.
John.
A lot of people out there.
Where'd they come from?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just make sure.
Nobody else has signed.
I
Okay.
was gonna say,
All these vehicles, so I'm sure you will ask for would take.
Okay. I wasn't sure if we needed public comment, but you might as well just ask for it at the end of each one.
Oh, no, John.
Kathy
I don't
invited
think
all
it's
her
a-
friends.
County code requirement, but it doesn't hurt.
Right.
Bring in the hallway, let me walk.
On the next one as well?
Yeah.
These people signed up.
All right, fantastic. We'll now take on the amendment to easement ATE 2501-0009 Providence at Centerville LLC. Stephanie Jones, staff.
Good morning again. So the application before you, like mentioned, is 2504-0009. It was submitted by Providence at Centerville LLC. This is located in near the intersection of Ruthsburg Road and Rolling Bridge Road, and also it's located within the town of Centerville. The size of the open space parcel is a total of 155 acres, roughly. For the property, which, for the open space that is on the Providence at Centerville property, it's about 153.9 acres, and then the portion that's on the Board of Ed is 2.1 acres. And then basically the property owner, Providence and Centerville, is requesting that the entirety of that open space be terminated. And they're looking for a recommendation to the county commissioners. So the general location, I've highlighted the property. I just wanted to give you an overall kind of indication as to where this property is. You can see it's kind of south of the building that we're located in now. And then it's within the town of Centerville, which was annexed as of September 5th, 2024. So just to give you a background, really, as to how we got to where we are, the property owner is requesting open space termination. I know this is something you don't generally see, so we'll run through the history of this property and try to give you a little bit of details and background as well. So in 2001, the property owner at that time created what was the cluster subdivision. Give me one second here. And this is actually the subdivision plat from 2001, so it's a little hard to read, but this is the lots that were created off of Rolling Bridge Road. At that time when the subdivision was created, both the plat itself and the open space easement, in which that open space is located here in this area, this rectangular looking area. Both of those indicated how the property would move forward with development if at the time it was annexed, and also as well how the open space would be processed or looked at the time in which the basically the property would be further developed. So therefore in 2001, both the county and the town were looking as to how this property would be treated. So since that point in time, there really has been kind of a vision for this property being annexed into the town and moving through the process of further development. So the open space itself is restricted to the uses in 18-1-12.
Can you say that again for me? That part about that it's always been part of the plan to annex it into the town.
So the subdivision plat from 2001 and the open space easement included language that addressed how the property would be, basically the open space and the property itself would be looked at if further development was to occur. Also, if the property was to be annexed into the town. So does that help?
Yes, no, it does, but we'll probably return to that.
Yep, but we'll get there. So that open space is restricted to those uses that are found in our zoning code. Although the property is within the town, the county commissioners are still the holder of the easement. So I know that's it's interesting because it's in the town, but the open space is still basically an easement with the county commissioners. Also, the subdivision required forest conservation at the time, and that's located here in this hatched area, and it kind of follows the stream and waterways there. That forest conservation is not, there's no proposal for anything to happen to that forest conservation that will continue to exist. So in 2003, there was a lot line adjustment with the Board of Education, and that's when those 2.1 acres were conveyed to the Board of Education land. So essentially, the open space is over both of those properties at this point in time. Because of that, the Board of Education is required to be a party of that termination. And I know the property owner can probably speak to this a little bit, but what they'll be doing is working with the Board of Ed, going through their board process in order to address that termination of that open space. So in 2024, the town annexed this property into their jurisdiction. Essentially, it's no longer county jurisdiction. And also within your packet, you would have seen, or the property owner mentioned that at the time of the termination, they would convey 10 acres to the county for governmental uses, you know, per their, which is in their packet, which you've seen. But I wanted to give you that detail as well. So here is that open space, that blue area. The county code does give language as to if open space was to be void or essentially terminated. So this exists specifically for properties that are to be annexed. So essentially properties that would go into a town. Otherwise, this would not be applicable for termination of open space. So the three parts in which have to be met: the property has to be annexed into the town, which this has. Also, the town has to approve a final site plan or subdivision on the property in order for the termination to occur. And then also the county commissioners essentially have to approve of that recordation of that legal document for the termination of the open space. So these provisions do exist in our code as they are on the screen. For our comprehensive plan, I'm just going to kind of give you some details here because the Providence property has been included in the growth area for Centerville throughout multiple comp plans. You can see it in both the town comprehensive plan and the county's comprehensive plan. But this is the detailed future land use map that's found in our 2022 comp plan. This is the Providence Farm property here. If you see the black outline, this is what would be Centerville's growth area. So in 2022, it was identified as the growth area here. Then when the town updated their comprehensive plan, it was pulled into the town's jurisdiction. So it's no longer within that growth area, but now the town's jurisdiction. So here's just basically an overall of what the applicant is requesting. I know this is a little different. It's not something you normally see on your agenda. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer. Also, I know the applicant is here in order to answer any questions.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Joe Stevens on behalf of Providence's Centerville LLC.
Sharon Van Emberg, I'm the town attorney for Centerville.
And I'm Peter Flint. I am the zoning administrator for the town of Centerville.
Thank you. So just to give you a little more background, thank you, Stephanie. That was very helpful and for this. This property, and we have some slides, but I only go into them if you want me to, but it has been designated to be part of the town and in the town's growth area since the late 90s. The town's comprehensive plan in 1998 identified this, and that was a joint plan with the county. They worked on it jointly. Providence Farm to be annexed. It then was included in every additional comprehensive plan right until the 2022 and the town's 2040 plan that they adopted in 2024. I think it was 24 that the town adopted that plan. It's been included in. The most recent plan before annexation called for the Providence Farm to be in phase 1 annexations. In other words, it was one of the first properties to be annexed into the town once they continue with their plan. So that's by way of background. In regards to the open space, those of you who remember Peter Schaefer, who passed away a couple of years ago, owned this property for decades. And he develops much of it in Providence subdivision with Bozak and with Bozak Builders and with Ryland Homes, and sold some land to the Board of Ed, which is the 2 acres that's still under open space easement that he sold to the Board of Ed many years ago. But he also did this cluster subdivision. And at the time, I represented Peter for years. The town and the county both were wanted to make sure that they addressed the growth area aspect of this property and weren't going to restrict the town from being able to use it as part of their growth area as a result of the open space that was being created. So a couple of things happened as a result of that. The first one was the plat note that you can read probably if you blow up your screen. It's hard to read. The county required Peter Schaefer to put on this subdivision for Roland Bridge that he could do no further development on this property at all unless he got annexed into the town and went through the town process. And if he didn't get he had to apply for an annexation and get rejected or apply and have it overturned in referendum before he could come back to the county and request any other development on this farm. So in other words, it was set up that you're done unless you annex. Then in the open space easement itself from 2001, and it's in your packet, there was language in there, express language that talked about the open space area, and it said, and this is the easement signed by the Planning Commission attorney, and this language was developed with the attorney at that time and approved by the Planning Commission and then signed by the county commissioners, was that the open space may be subject to further development in the event that the owner receives annexation from the town of Centerville, and so on and so forth. So that was anticipated in there. The county did not have any regulations about release of open space as a result of annexation, which is a good planning policy. They want to see that happen. They didn't have any language in their code when this was written in 2001. But a couple of years later, in 2004, and you see that in your packet because Stephanie gave it to you, the county adopted specific language for recognizing the release of open space when properties are annexed. And those are those 3 criteria. So it pretty much mimics the language that's in this easement that they had developed a few years before then. This is not the first time this has been implemented by the county. In Sudlersville, I'll just pass this around if I could, you guys. I'll just hand this to you. So in Sudlersville, 2019, the old Coleman property, remember Mr. Earl Coleman, his property had been annexed a few years prior to that into the town. And the town, and you have a copy of that release in your packet as well because I included it with my information. It says termination of open space. It's attachment 4. And you can see that the county commissioners, I don't know that this went to you for a recommendation. I don't know what the process was. I didn't handle it. But the county commissioners terminated the open space because it was annexed into the town. What we're asking for is that the county commissioners terminate this open space now because this property has been annexed in the town. It's zoned right now, and that's the next thing but it's gonna be zoned eventually, TND, complete neighborhood. So it's a planned development. We wanna begin the planning process to be in line with when the town sewer treatment plant expansion is done, which is about 3 years to 4 years from now. And that planning process is gonna take a long time and be very, very expensive. We want to assure that we're gonna get the sign released by the county commissioners, so we'd like to get that now. But the trigger on the open space being released is still what the code says. We gotta get final plat approval, and then it's triggered. But at least we don't have to come back and have something signed 3 years from now and $1 million+ into planning and so on and so forth. And we've been working closely with the county commissioner's office, Mr. Mon and Pat Thompson, as well as obviously the planning office on this, so that they're comfortable with the triggering of it and all. And Stephanie Jones had also mentioned that the developer has proffered a dedication of approximately 10 acres of land right next to the Y, where the county's looking to expand its public works facilities and some other government functions there. So if you're not familiar with the location of the property, you can see the YMCA directly to the north. We really think it's a perfect property for development in the town under the town's newly adopted TND, Complete Neighborhood Ordinance. And I'm gonna just end, unless you have any questions, with that the town's TND ordinance does have a very substantial open space requirement of 25%. So it's not like there's not going to be a whole lot of open space on this property, nonetheless, because there will be at the end of the day. The whole entirety of the property is about 279 acres. And there's about 25 acres of it, 27 acres now that's in forest conservation, which isn't going to change. So that's what we'd like your recommendation. I think planning staff has made clear it's very consistent with their plan, very consistent with all the plans that are out there. It's not precedent setting. The county has ordinance provisions for this release. It's not like it doesn't exist. The same situation would not be applicable if this was a mile outside of town. Somebody couldn't come in and say, under this section, can you release my open space? Thank you. So we hope that you'd make a favorable consideration on that. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant?
Question. I understand the concept of waiting 5 years, I think, but I'd be curious as to what the thinking was behind that 5-year delay in releasing this land. You're asking us to overturn it, and I really don't have a problem with it because it seems to me it's going to happen one way or the other, but is there something we're missing?
There's two things going on application-wise. The first is the release of the open space determination. That has nothing to do with the 5-year approval, expressed approval that the county commissioners have the right under the underlying zoning of newly annexed property. Stephanie's, I believe, is going to get into that in a minute. That's a town has made that request, although with us joining in, but Sharon can speak to that. But in answer to your question in general, Mr. Tillman, the state law, when you annex a piece of property, if the town municipality puts a zoning district on it that allows uses that are substantially different than the county's zoning district, then the county for a 5-year period has to give expressed approval to that new zoning. After 5 years, it is then essentially it's rezoned. It was a cool-off period, and Sharon probably can speak to this more than me, but my perception of it was when this law was adopted back in the mid 2005-6 range, 2007, it was because many municipalities during the huge real estate boom of the early 2000s were annexing all these lands, and the counties weren't able to keep up with facilities, and they were concerned about things like, not every county has the authority to impose impact fees over, and APF and things like that. And so the legislature said, okay, we're going to create a 5-year cool-off period. And that's the reason for it. It used to say, for decades, it said that you only had to get expressed approval if the new zoning designation was inconsistent with the county's comprehensive plan designation. So you see the difference here? If this law didn't exist, we wouldn't need the expressed approval because very clearly it's consistent with your comprehensive plan. I will add one more thing, and then I'll shut up. The legislature right now is pending a bill to put it back the way it was.
Do away with the 5-year wait.
You have to wait if it's not consistent with the county's plan. If it's consistent with the county's plan, then and I think that's because of all the affordable housing stuff happening, not trying to delay development and things like that. So.
It's also very awkward to enforce because during that 5-year period, it doesn't say that there can't be development on the property. There can, but the town would have to apply the county zoning. And so that's just a very unique and awkward and difficult thing to do. So it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Within their jurisdiction.
Within their jurisdiction. So you'd use the town process. I've never actually had to do it because we've never gotten to that point, but you would use the town processes, but the county standards, and it's just, so hopefully the legislature will fix it. I'm not that optimistic that they will make it better, but we'll see. But that is one of the reasons why we are here today, is to ask for that. I think that's the second step we're going to talk about.
And we are, by my math, a couple of years into that 5-year, right?
Year and a
It's
half
not like
into
it
it,
starts today.
Yeah, right. It's very difficult, not to get into the next application, but for us to submit plans and start that long process with the town if we don't have the zoning. And candidly, Sharon and I had this conversation. What could the town do? I mean, they don't have if it's zoned ag under the county zoning, how could they take an action that precedes a different zone if we file applications for that? So we're kind of stuck, and that's the reason for the second one.
Yeah, ironically, with our sewer plant, there won't actually be development till right around probably the 5-year period anyway, but we want to be able to start reviewing applications and things and applying our zoning. So it makes a lot of sense.
So as a practical matter, you know, I really don't want to use the term, but I will, it's sort of a no-brainer.
I think so, but.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I understand the purpose for the segue, but if we can get back to the agenda item, and then we'll get into the 5-year waiver after the next staff presentation.
Okay. Any other questions for the currently discussed
Yeah, I just have a couple.
easement
simple
termination?
questions. What does TND stand for?
Traditional neighborhood district.
You just mentioned sewage treatment plant. Are you expanding the capacity of that?
Yes.
How so?
It's going up to 1 million gallons per day.
And is it being physical upgrades to the
Yes,
plant, or is
it'll
it
be-
just paperwork?
No, it's a significant development project.
Just curious, are you expanding the irrigation facilities?
I don't know all the details, but I'm sure there's all of those ripple effects that are happening at the same time.
That's fine. And then, why did they do this to begin with? I don't get
Why did Peter do this?
No, well, okay, Peter or the county
If you know
commissioners
Peter,
and
I
whomever.
shouldn't have to
Peter.
answer
I
that
know
question. Because, you know, I love the guy, I really did, but sometimes he didn't listen. And
Okay.
I think it made a lot of sense
Can I-
back when they did it, because they want to make sure that there wasn't a lot of development within the county jurisdiction. We want smart growth, we want it in the town limits, and
Right.
so,
Does that increase the density perhaps by being able to looking towards the future and getting into the town?
yes, it does, but I think everyone always thought this property, I mean, the county plan, the town plan always called for this to be developed in the town. So the county reluctantly said, okay, we'll let you do this little subdivision, but we want to make sure you don't do anything else.
right.
And that's why we're going to put this open space on, and then when you annex, we'll take it off. And we're doing the natural progression of what everyone always anticipated when this was done back then.
I was taking a step back and saying, why did Peter do the subdivision in the first place? That's what I was responding
no,
to,
no,
that's
no,
what I
no.
thought your question was.
Actually,
But no, this
I
makes
thought that
perfect
right
sense.
before he did that,
And, you know, historically, and I'm probably the only one in the room that was here then, but, you know, the town was very concerned about making sure that they had the ability to annex and develop this property, and that this subdivision didn't disturb that. The county was, when you go back through the records and the letters between the planning office, Mr. Cahoon was director at the time, Mr. Drummond, Terry Adams, and the town council who were there. And there was a lot of dialogue about this, and that's why the plat note's there, and that's why the easement was written the way it was.
The fact that you two are here, I assume the town commissioners are in alignment with this.
I mean, there is a town council member here, she may want to address you. Lisa.
All right, nice to meet you.
So this was similar to the development rights trade-off that Montgomery County had, where they wouldn't let any development. You'd trade your rights so you could develop density because adequate facilities were located and able to handle this particular area, and you didn't want to expand into the entire piece of property at the time?
At least back then, yes, I think.
Yeah, to a certain, this was not deed restricted under a transfer of development right. This was deed restricted just because there was a cluster subdivision, which is Rolling Bridge, the 17 lots you see there. So it's a little bit different, but the same theory. They want the development in the town. That's what the county plan says, that's what the town plan says.
And as you touched on, the affordability housing issue is going to become a challenge because, you know, if the state passes, which it will, the set aside and the requirement for so much of the percentage of development to be affordable housing, however they define it, will impact this development also, which is an area that the county has a need for, which is affordable housing.
I mean, not getting into the development of the property too much, but it's adjacent to the Y. It's right next to the high school, the middle school, walking distance. You don't find that a lot in Queen Anne's County. It's really a wonderful piece, and I'm excited to be part of it.
I'm sorry, one more question. Just say out loud, the staff does like this?
Yeah,
How you
we've given a
wanna put it?
favorable.
Supports
Yes.
it, yes.
With it being consistent with the comp plan and also the plat notes and the history behind it, there's a lot of thought that went into it. So yeah, staff
I'm sure
does
there
support
was.
it.
Just wanted you to say it out loud. Thanks.
Any other questions of staff or the applicant? All right, John, do you have a sign-up sheet at all? No one on. Anyone in the room wish to make public comment on this particular issue? Going once, going twice?
Just a quick comment. My name is.
Please, yeah, can you step to the mic for us, sir? Thank you.
Just a quick comment. My name's Bill Stoops. I'm a lifetime resident of Centerville. worked at Shore United Bank, and Mr. Sylvester there pretty well. So just want to let you know that I was brought on with this group to work with the town, the county, and the citizens especially to make sure that the project went through and it was something that everybody could embrace. And everything that I've heard, it meets all the guidelines, and the people seem to be impressed with what's coming on. Open space area, there is, like they said, the open space will be, they're planning on maybe putting trails around the property that'll connect both sides of the town. If that goes through, that'll be a great way to connect one side of town to the other, and I think it'll provide more walking town atmosphere for everyone. So I certainly approve it as a citizen and as a representative of the development group. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments publicly? Hearing none, we'll close public comment. I will open the floor for nominee, or for a motion.
Mr. Vice
Chairman, yeah.
Go right ahead.
Resolved that the Planning Commission makes a favorable recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, the application of a 5-year zoning waiver as required in Maryland Local Government Code.
Sorry. I think you're in the wrong staff report.
Oh.
You were in the next one. You jumped ahead.
Oh. Yep.
You're just excited about the 5-year.
Thank you. Let's start again. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Resolved that the Planning Commission makes a favorable recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to terminate through signing of a recordable document 155.986 acres of open space located on the lands of what is known as Providence Farm, paren, map 44 Foxtrot, parcel 60, paren, and the Queen Anne County's Board of Education map, paren, map 44F, parcel 576, lot 1, paren, in which, in order to terminate the entirety of 155.986 acres of open space, the Board of Education must be a party to the termination document.
There's been a motion made.
Second.
There's been a second by Commissioner Diotis. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, saying none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Teddy.
Everybody can stay seated. We'll now move to the 5-year zoning waiver, Town of Centerville. Ms. Jones, you still have the floor.
Yep, give me 1 second here. All right, on to the next application that we've already talked about a little bit, but I will still give some details. This is the request by the Town of Centerville. They are requesting that the property in which is highlighted in yellow, which was annexed into the town, that the county expressly approve the T&D zoning for the lands of Providence at Centerville, thereby allowing development of the land uses and densities to be different from what is the current county zoning of the agricultural district. Let's see. So the current zoning of the property is agricultural, and we're requesting a recommendation to the county commissioners on this. So we've already talked about the property, but this is in relation to the entirety of the property, not just the open space. So now we're looking at the whole thing. So it was annexed into the town, which I've already mentioned, so we know that detail. Some of the background is kind of, we already know, the subdivision that occurred in 2001. Joe kind of spoke to the land use article that allows the town to ask for this, essentially a waiver to the 5-year rule. Basically, in order for that to be approved, the commissioners have to say, yes, you can apply that town zoning at that point in time, ergo not having to apply the agricultural zoning district for the extent of the 5 years. In September of 2024, the town of Centerville approved the resolution for the annexation, and then also on that same day, they approved the mapping for this property, which is the TND zoning district. And then in 2024, in December, they submitted the request to the county commissioners in order for that 5-year zoning waiver. Following that, the town worked extensively on an update to their zoning code for that TND district, essentially to allow compact, pedestrian-friendly residential uses, also some commercial uses. I'll let the town speak to those specific uses of that district, but I just want to give you a heads up. Also, within that, we kind of already talked about this, the 10 acres to be conveyed to the county. There is a letter in your packet from County Administrator Todd Mon indicating that we would like the Planning Commission to consider that parcel to be designated C2, which is obviously the town's zoning, not the county's, because you won't recognize C2. But in order for the governmental uses to be utilized on that property, it's a much more flexible and probably more appropriate for a institutional use. Back to the comprehensive plan, we kind of spoke to this already. The Queen Anne's County plan gives the detailed future land use map. Here's the parcel in its entirety. The town of Somerville, as of their update to their comprehensive plan in 2025, this property is no longer in their municipal growth element because it was annexed into the town. Now it's in the town jurisdiction. It's designated as complete neighborhood for the land use designation. And really, it includes clustered homes, high-density arrangements, and also to allow open space. I'll let if you have questions about that, though, the town would probably be the best to answer because it's their comp plan. So basically, your job is to send a recommendation to the county commissioners on this application. We kind of spoke to the details of it a little bit already because they kind of go together hand in hand. But if you have questions, please let me know. Also, the town is here if you have questions as well.
Any questions for Stephanie? I have one. Can you clarify the term conveyance of that 10 acres to is that a purchase agreement? Is that a donation?
I believe it's a donation.
Okay.
It's a dedication, yeah.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant or staff?
Just when does this development on Rolling Ridge Road, does it get pulled into the town?
No. So if you see this line here, I know it's hard to see because it overlaps the property line, but here is the town boundary right now. So those houses will stay within the county jurisdiction.
They're likely on private water and septic. Anyway.
Yep.
There'd be no, we could not, we couldn't enforce an annexation even if we pulled them in and there was really, since they're on private well and septic, and relatively recently too, it's not like an old subdivision, there was really no benefit to them to come in.
Yeah, they'd have to want to, or the health department would have, if for some reason in the future the septics become out of date, they could force the issue in the future, but as of right now, they have no interest, I think.
So, several years ago, I may be wrong in this, and if I am, you'll straighten me out, but I guess we can pull names into it. Barry Waterman wanted to develop Wheatlands, I think that's the name of it, down by the outlets, and he was looking for a waiver, and I think they was granted a waiver, and then it generated a lawsuit, which made him go back to the 5-year waiting period. Now, what's going to stop that from happening this time?
Again, I was part of that.
Yeah,
what took
I'm sorry
place
to bring it up.
That's all right. It's a sore subject, Mr. Sylvester. Only not because the development didn't ultimately
The pitfalls
happen.
of a small county
It's a loss
lawyer.
of a battle. The war still got won, but the county did approve the zoning waiver, and then there was a new administration in like a month later, and they withdrew it, and that matter went all the way up to the Maryland Court of Appeals, Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, well, they can change their mind because we didn't invest in the underlying zoning. That's the sum and substance. We didn't start construction. I argued that case before the court with Brenya Booth, who's now on the court, and we're both on the same side. She represented Queenstown, and so if the issue ever comes before them again, maybe she'll get a different result. The answer is yeah, it's potentially out there that it could happen. I think that that's much less likely, especially because we have this land dedication going on. There's so much quid pro quo happening. So we're hopeful, but at the same time, we don't see anybody nobody's opposed this. I mean, we got an annexation hearing before the town, and it was just us. It took about, and you can see today, and the town council's made up of 2 members when they annexed that live in Providence Farm right next door. So I think there's a real sense, and Peter and Sharon can speak to it better, or Carolyn, or Councilperson Heffer, there's a sense that they'd like to see this happen as long as it happens right.
Yeah, there really has been surprisingly no opposition. Usually at least have some questions, or there's been nothing throughout this whole process, so we don't feel like there'll be a move to appeal or challenge it in the future.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant? Hearing none, I will open up the floor to public comment. You don't have anybody signed up, John? Nope. Anybody in the gallery wish to speak on this? Going once, twice? All right, we will close public comment. I will open the floor up for a motion.
Let's try again.
You had practice.
Yeah. Got it figured out, I think. Resolved that the Planning Commission makes a favorable recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners the application of a 5-year zoning waiver as required by Maryland Local Government Code annotated Section 4-416, Annexation, Planning, and Zoning Authority, close parens, for the lands of Providence at Centerville LLC, or commonly known as Providence Farm, paren map 44 Foxtrot, comma, parcel 60, close paren. In addition, the Planning Commission favorably recommends the express approval of zoning reclassifications from agricultural zoning to traditional neighborhood development, comma, TND, comma, and commercial C2 zoning districts.
There's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioners, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, now I think we, unless there's any strong objections, take a 5-minute break before our work session.
Sounds good.
Fair enough. We will reconvene at 9:46, please.